I'm Father Robert Ballasser, the Digital Jesuit, host of This Week in Enterprise Tech on the Twin TV network. I'm here again in Orlando, Florida for Enterprise Connect 2016, and I'm sitting next to Mr. Scott Velting, the Executive Director of Voice and Communications for AT&T. Scott, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us.
Great to be here, thank you.
Now, AT&T is a company that needs no introduction. You've been around for longer than I'd say all of these companies.
It's Alexander Graham Bell.
Exactly. But you've got a few interesting announcements for the show.
Yeah. One of the reasons we're here this year is we're pre-announcing the availability of a product called AT&T Collaborate, which is essentially a cloud PBX or voice-enabled solution. It also has a lot of the typical unified communications and collaboration capability, like audio, video, web conferencing, instant messaging and presence, as well as content sharing. So we're here to pre-announce that, going to controlled introduction by the end of April, and then we're going to ramp it up and scale it from there.
AT&T, being of course AT&T, has been far more affected by some of the changes that we've seen in unified communications over the past 12 to 18 months. And specifically, I'm talking about not just the desire, but the expectation that I can take any service, any platform, and I can run it on-premise. I can run it in the cloud, private or public. And now I can run it in some sort of combination of the two, in a hybrid deployment. How has AT&T responded to that trend in the market?
Yeah, so I would say AT&T Collaborate is one piece of that response, in that as customers are looking more and more to the cloud for their voice and UC solutions, and as broadband becomes more ubiquitous, which is enabling a lot of this. So AT&T Collaborate will address that piece of the need, but AT&T has a broader portfolio where we can address customers that want to have for example, a private dedicated solution where they host premise in our data center or someone else's data center. We can address that need. We also have products that can address customers who want a fully on-premise solution with some SIP trunking, connecting their services, and so we've got a broad portfolio, and we try and hit all aspects of that spectrum that you just mentioned.
Now there is a flip side to this, and that is with all the attention being paid to the ability to run my communications as a service, there have been some really bad deployments. There have been people who have bought too much into the marketing and not really looked at some of the underlying necessities of doing a deployment into the cloud. What have you seen? Well, what are some case studies? What are some issues that you think IT managers would be good to avoid?
Yeah, I think one of the most common challenges is there tends to be a underestimation of the challenge of moving from, for example, from a premise-based environment to the cloud. There's a lot of networking adjustments that need to be made to a customer's wide area network as well as in the local area networking environment. So I think underestimating that challenge and not vetting the partners or the service providers that the customer may be working with who has those capabilities. And that's where, again, we feel like AT&T has an advantage there in terms of being able to bring to bear some of our project management resources, the network management and network operations types of capabilities that we have. So we think that's a really important aspect, particularly as you go up market, but also into that small and medium space, there's some of that complexity as well.
Scott, I'd like to get really concrete here. For the folks watching at home, those IT managers who are thinking about their next deployment, their next rollout, how would they use AT&T? How would they approach AT&T? What could they expect from AT&T? And what can AT&T do for their as-a-service deployment?
Yeah, I think first of all, the customers need to start with a self-assessment. What are they really trying to accomplish? Are they trying to simply move from a legacy voice technology to a more advanced voice over IP capability, so a voice-to-voice replacement? Or are they more interested in a fully collaborative type of a solution that would enable their business processes, make their employees more productive, add efficiencies to the overall day-to-day business activities? So they need to start there. But then in terms of what can AT&T do to help that customer, we've got salespeople all over the country, all over the globe, that can help them assess what is the right solution for them. We've got an AT&T consulting organization that we would encourage customers to engage to help them think through how do we get from where we are today to where we want to be, and what resources can AT&T bring to bear to help that.
We've been speaking with Scott Velting. He is the Executive Director of Voice and Communications at AT&T. Scott, I want to thank you very much for spending the time to speak with us, to talk about your tech and about what AT&T has cooking for the future.
Thank you.
Now, if they wanted to find out more about your big announcement, if they wanted to find out more about your services, where should they go?
They can go to att.com. We've got an announcement posted there on our website. And so it's probably the best place for them, actually. Yeah.
Thanks again. I'm Father Robert Balliser, the Digital Jesuits, saying stay tabbed because we've got more from Enterprise Connect 2016.